Hi, everybody. I'm Ori, PM for CloudGuard Network Security, also dealing with Nutanix integration. I'll just steal a few minutes from Shai's time to frame the subject, and then we'll move to Shai for the deep dive. So we'll talk about why this integration is important and why we're talking about it now, some benefits for Nutanix and Checkpoint integration, and the fit between the companies. So why now? I guess most of you know of Broadcom acquisition of VMware and the extreme market disruption that it caused.
So I think, Aviatar Daniel, do you hear Ori? Ori, I think you disconnected. We didn't hear you for the last minute. Ori?
Can you hear me now?
Now we hear you. Yeah, so you can start again.
Okay, so let's go back. No problem. Back. Second.
So Ori, I think you freeze again, so I will take it from here. Something with your internet connection is not working, so let me... Ori,
Yes.
you have some problem with your internet connection, so we can give it a last chance.
Okay, so let's try, give it one last try, and if not, you will take it. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so as most of you know, Broadcom acquisition of VMware triggered an extreme market disruption. Many of VMware customers are thinking about migrating elsewhere as most of their workloads by 2028. And Nutanix is emerging as one of the top alternatives for this migration. Obviously, at Checkpoint, we are ready to support any option that you will choose, not only Nutanix. If you will choose a public cloud, private cloud, or other alternatives, we are here for you as well. But today we'll talk about this option, which is going to be one of the top ones. So the benefits for Nutanix and Checkpoint together. First of all, we have a very tight technical integration. Checkpoint integrates with all of Nutanix components. The platform flexibility, both Checkpoint and Nutanix, we can run on various hardwares and hypervisors, not only on a Nutanix hypervisor. Security and compliance, we're going to talk about today about the service insertion, the built-in microsegmentation directly into Nutanix Fabric, the cost efficiency, the total cost of ownership for securing your VMware environment is much higher than total cost of ownership of securing your Nutanix environment. And the hybrid cloud readiness, the workloads can move from the on-prem to the Nutanix cloud clusters on AWS and Azure, and obviously Checkpoint can secure them both. So the first use case that Shai is going to talk about is a tenant VPC, the inspection of intra-VPC traffic, inspection of east-west traffic within the same VPC between the different subnets, and inspection of north-south traffic and to the VPC to the internet. The second use case is the transit VPC, the inspection of traffic between different VPCs, east-west traffic, and north-south traffic to and from the internet to these VPCs. And the third and last one is the service insertion, which basically is the inspection of traffic between within the same subnet inside the same VPC, a real microsegmentation with redundant deployment of CloudGuard network security gateways. And with this, I will move to Shai. I just say that for those of you who will stay until the end, we're going to talk about the early availability program. So I invite you to stay until the end, and I'm moving now to Shai.
So, hi everyone. So as always, we are going to deploy everything. I'm going to deploy everything from start to end. And this is the physical environment. We have a Twinode Nutanix cluster, and they are connected to a switch. And I've already created a virtual switch, VS0, with those three uplinks. And those are a trunk bond trunk interface that currently forward only untagged VLAN 0. On Nutanix, it's the untagged traffic. And also, by the way, all the Nutanix servers has IP address from this range. So the hypervisor management interface also on this range. It's obviously not the best practice. I should have separated to different VLAN, like the data VLAN and the management VLAN on separate VLANs, but all of them running on the same VLAN. And this VLAN, this IP range is also exposed to all the networks that are behind this switch. On the internal side of the Nutanix, we are going to create a VPC, and all of those VPC IP addresses 172.16 are not visible to the outside world. You can also make it route. You can also advertise those routes, but I decided that all those IP addresses are going to exist only inside the Nutanix server, and we are going to communicate with the external world via this external subnet. Okay, so this is the subnet. I'm going to take IP pools from this subnet that are going to use other VPCs that I'm going to build. So I'm starting with building the tenant VPC, a VPC with the checkpoint cluster, cluster Excel. Elastic Excel is not supported. Okay, so we're talking about the legacy cluster Excel, active passive mode. Each one of the members is going to have 3 network interfaces. ETH0 is going to be connected to the management interface. Okay, management subnet. We have ETH1, which is going to use as a HA, and this is going to be our sync interface. This is going to be private. This is going to be cluster sync. And we have the data interface, ETH number 2, which is going to be a cluster, and also we are going to have a cluster VIP IP for the cluster. Okay, the active member is going to hold this VIP IP address. In VPC, there is basically Nutanix put a virtual router with an interface in each one of the subnet. The first IP address in each one of the subnet is belong to the virtual router. Okay, so the default route in each one of the subnet is always going to be 1 in each one of those subnet. And I'm going to set a default route to 172.16.31. Okay, so this is the data interface, and this is the default route. And the default route is going to be via the external subnet. So let's start by building the external subnet on VLAN 0 untagged. So I will switch to the Nutanix interface. This is the PC, the Prisma Central. And let's build the subnet. So create a subnet. This is going to be the external subnet. It's a VLAN, not an overlay. A VLAN subnet, the switch, the VS0 with the uplinks. The VLAN is 0. And it's going to use as external connectivity for VPC, right? So this VPC is going to communicate to the outside world via this external subnet. So this subnet should be external. And also we are going to do a NAT. Okay, so object over here, if they want to go to the internet, we'll do a NAT from an IP address in this subnet. Okay, so external and NAT. The IP range is this is the IP range, and the layer 3 switch is this one. It's 441, and I have so some, for example, the Prism Cloud is in the same range. You see, I have just one VLAN over there. Obviously, it's not the best practice. So I have some free IP addresses that I'm going to use. So I'm going to take this range 41 to 50. With those IP, I will be able to take IP address from here and to create a one-to-one NAT to the internal, to the transit VPC. Let's take another range. And this is it, we are good. Valid IP pool. What is the problem with the subnet IP pool? Enter valid IP pool. What is the problem with the IP pool? I have no idea. Let's recreate them. Okay, so I have the external subnet. You'll see it in a moment. We have the external subnet. And now we are ready to the next part. We are going to build the VPC. So we'll go to virtual private clouds, and we will build the transit VPC. And for the first use case, which is this one, basically we don't need a transit VPC. We don't need to check this box over here, transit VPC, because this checkbox is only need to be used only if I'm connecting external VPC, okay, VPC 2 and 3 to this VPC. But since I'm not going to build it twice, it doesn't going to affect it in a so I'm going to use as transit VPC, and I'm going to connect it to the external subnet that I've just created. So I associate external subnet, and this is the subnet external. It's going to use as a default next stop for 00 for all internet. And I'm going to assign a dedicated IP address from this pool. And I will take I want just one IP address. And I will take the first IP, which is 41 from the pool. Okay, 41 to 50, this is the pool that I assign. I will take the first one, and this is going to be used as a hide NAT to hide the VNet to the VPC IP behind this IP when it's going to the outside world. So let's save it, and I will put also the DNS IP and create. So we have the transit VPC, and now we are ready to start creating the subnets. So we have the management, and the management subnet is 172.16.10.0/24, and the default gateway is always going to be the first IP on the network, which is this one, and I will put I will set also an IP pool. It's going to use for SNAT, for DHCP, and so on. So 172, 16, 10, 10 to 172, 16, 10, 200. Okay, so I have the management. Now I'm going to create additional one for the HA. And this is going to be 172, 16, 20, 0/24, and 172, 21, and 200. And the last one is the data, right? It's this one. So I'm going to create also where are the subnets? Okay, I have it. So this is the data. 172, 16, 30, 172, 16, 31. Wonderful. So I have the three subnet, and you will see here on the routes, I have a default route to the external subnet. In a moment, you will see also the third subnet. It's going to take a while. So now, after I did that, I'm ready and start creating those VMs. This was the cluster VMs, and I'm going to create them from the VM menu. We'll create the first one, create a VM, and this is going to be a gateway 1, 2 CPU, 12 GB of memory. And what is important here, that you need to change it to legacy BIOS mode. If you don't change it, it's not going to boot, only for those QCOW checkpoint images. So legacy BIOS, and I'm going to attach it to the image to start from the image. Clone from image. This is the image, this is the QCOW. Let's give it 100. By the way, you can, Vyatar, if you can put the link to download the QCOW on the chat. So we have a link from the support center. You also can find it. But,
yeah, sure. We send it right now in the chat.
Wonderful. So we have the QCOW. You can find those images. And I'm going to now add the 3 network interface. So for each gateway, we start with the first one. I'm going to put those network interface. So let me attach the subnet. So this is the management subnet. Assign IP address. And this is the range. And this is the IP 101. Save. Let's attach it to the HA. And the last one, which is the data, (101). Wonderful. Now, obviously, when I'm going to spin up this machine, it will start with the first time wizard. If you want to skip it, you do it. What do you do it on the next section?
Yeah, on the
Yes.
next section, you can see under guest customization an
We have a
option
cloud
to
init.
cloud init. Yeah, and
The
you
cloud
can
init. You want to switch the screen and to show? You know what? I will show it. So
yeah, you can show it. Yeah,
yeah. So basically, we have an SK, and this is, by the way, this SK. We're going to update it. Right now, it's supported for not for the QCOW version, but it's going to be supported on R8210, which you will be able. You see all the parameters, so you can just copy. There's a few examples over here. You can take, this is for management, for example. So you can take everything here, configure everything. You put over here, You just copy paste it over here, and then when you spin up, it's going to do by script all the first time wizard. So you don't need to configure all the IP addresses like I did here on the resources. You don't need to configure the disk. You don't need to configure everything. You can do everything with cloud in it. So Evyatar, can you just elaborate? So this one is going to be supported for R8210. We're going to have a new SK for that. So it's currently it's not supported for the QKI images of R8120 and R82,
Yeah,
but it's supported for R8110, right?
in
Cloud Init.
RT110, it's another way it's work. It's supported how it wrote in the SK.
So there is a dedicated SK for
There is
R8110.
the version is in this SK is the supported version for the Cloud Init.
If you're going to use the internal cloud init within the Nutanix, so this will be supported in future versions, but if you choose to use the cloud init, which explained in this SK, it will work for RE120 and R82.
Yeah, but it's not going to use this startup script, the one that you
Correct.
paste over here.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So so I put here everything, and we are good. 1020. Yes, we are good. Create the first one, and let's create the second one. What was the name? How did I call him? So gateway one. So this is going to be what is the floating IP here? What does he want? So this is the gateway 2, and 12. I'll repeat the same process for the second gateway. Start with the management. So this is 102. Need to connect the HA. 102. And the last one is the data. (102). Save. Legacy. And we're fine. So now let's spin up the machine. Gateway 1 and gateway 2. Now I'm going to connect, we need to connect to the management interface, which is in network 10. How do I connect it? What I'm going to do, I'm going to create IP, to take IP address from this pool on the external subnet and associate one-to-one NAT with this IP, sorry, 10.101 and 10.102. How do I do that? I do it from floating IP. So I'm going to floating IP, and I will need to request a floating IP from the external subnet. So I have a 9 free floating IP because the first one, 41, has been used for HiNet. If you remember, when I created the transit VPC and I connected to the external IP, I use 41 to hide all this network behind 41. So I'm going to take all the 9 floating IP, and you will see them in a moment. You will see them over here. Let's refresh it, and we see them over here. So I will take 42. Let me associate it with virtual machine gateway 1 with this IP. 10.101. And I will take 43 and I will associate it with the second virtual machine with the management interface 10.102. Okay, so you see that they've been attached to it. So let's see if I can access it. So this one. .43 is the second one. Let's run the first time wizard. Gateway 1. So this is a security gateway, and it's going to be part of the cluster of not Elastic XL, Cluster XL. Okay, Cluster XL. Next. Finish. And let's move to this one. We'll repeat the same process. Cluster XL. So now, just to save some time, I've already prepared management. Okay, this is the management VM that I'm going to put an interface inside the management subnet in the Transit VPC. So on the management VM, I'm going to the NICs, and I'm going to attach this NICs to the management subnet. And before I disconnected it, it had this IP 172.16.10.12. Okay, so this is the IP. And also I'm going to assign a floating IP to this machine. I will use 47. Okay, I can do it from here or from the floating IP menu, it doesn't really matter. And let's power it on. So those two are running, wonderful. And we have the management. Now, what I can do is I want to put two subnets. I'll take those two subnets. Those are the server subnet, the subnet that we are going to actually protect. So let's create those two subnet 100 and 101 on the Prism. So I'm going to a virtual private cloud. And those are subnet where I'm actually going to put my VMs over here. So on the Transit VPC subnet, I'm going to create a subnet 0, subnet 100. And I would create a second one, subnet 101. So we still have time. So let's take two VMs. I have already two VMs, client 1 and client 2, and I will put client 1 on network on this subnet, and client 2 I will touch to a network interface to this subnet. So we'll be able to test it. So client 1, I go to NIC, and I'm going to attach it to subnet 100. Assign DHCP, it's good. And I will do the same for client 2. I'm going to attach a network interface to subnet 101. You see in a moment, you see the NIC and you see the IP address. So we are good here, and this is going to be restarted. And this also. What I'm going to do now, so when I configure run the first time wizard, the default gateway of each one of the, if we take this gateway, for example, gateway 1, the default gateway of this gateway is going to be, is now 172.16.10.1, okay? 10.1. So it's going to the virtual router in this VPC. Okay, so remember that I have an IP over here. So I will talk via the virtual gateway from this subnet. I will talk with the virtual router, and it will redirect me to this IP, and the route back is going to be the same way, the default route, because I'm sitting over here, somewhere over here, connected checkpoint network to this lab switch. Anyway, a default route from this network. And basically what we want to do is the default route will be from the data subnet. Okay, so all the traffic will go through the VIP cluster IP. This is going to be the default gateway for everything is going to route to this virtual IP, inspected, and then go to the external network or to other subnet, okay, because the east-west traffic inspection is also supported. So all the traffic is going to be routed via this network, via the data subnet. So what I'm going to do after those two machines will boot, I'm going to change the default route to 31. Okay, 31 is the data subnet. And I don't have to, but the right way to do it is that I need to create also a static route that in order to reach my machine or other network here in Checkpoint, I need to set a static route that will go, that if I will go to the management interface, it will go from 10.1, okay? And not to 31, because it's going to cause asymmetric route. I will come from here, access to this interface, and the route back will be from here, okay? But for our lab, it doesn't really matter. I will change, I can do this asymmetric route, but in a real production environment, it's obviously it's important to make the route, the right routes. So I will just change the default route to network to IP 31. Okay, this is it, and I will have asymmetric route here because we don't have much time. So let's do that. So here on the routes, and we change it from the default to the management network to the data network 31. So this is fine. And I will do the same over here. And we are good. So now I'm ready to move forward. And configure the cluster. cluster, and again, it's the legacy cluster. It's not the Elastic XL classic mode. And this is transit cluster 1. You don't need IPsec VPN, and 172.16.10.100, 100 to represent the cluster object. And I will add the cluster members. So a new cluster member, this is NT gateway 1, and type is 172.16.10.101. So trust is established, and let me create the second one. And I have the second one. And now I will go to the network management, and I will fetch the gateways with topology. As always on the cloud, and this is very similar to public cloud, I will need to remove the anti-spoofing. So ET80, this is the management, is going to be private. This is the management interface, and I will remove the anti-spoofing. The second interface, ETH1, this should be the sink. Okay, this is the sink, and remove the anti-spoofing. The third interface, ETH2, this is the external, and it should be cluster. And here I'm going to take this IP, right? This is 172.16.30.100. 172.16.30.100 on subnet 24. Remove the anti-spoofing. And basically, this is it. Let's publish and push the policy. By the way, the policy have just one rule over here, or two rules. One drop all, and the other one accept all those ICMP and HTTP and so on, just for the proof of concept. Okay, so the policy is good. And we see that the cluster Excel is up and running. So member B, gateway 2, is the standby, and member A is the active one. Okay, we have two gateways, A and B. Is going to be green in a few moments. Okay, so we have this gateway up and running, this cluster up and running. And the next step is to redirect traffic from those two subnets, okay? All the traffic that they send outside to the outside road, north, and also east-west traffic will be routed via this IP. How do you do that? It's simple. You go to the virtual private cloud, to the transit VPC. And in the transit VPC, we have a network policy. And I'm going to create a new network policy with priority 20. The higher the priority, above them, it's going to, the higher the number, the higher the priority. And the source is those IP addresses, 172.16.100. I have it already, /22, it will cover 100 and 101. Destination any, protocol any, the action is reroute. Reroute, and we are going to add a policy in the reverse direction, and I'm going to set it here to fallback no action, and I'm going to send it to the cluster IP, which is 172.16.30.100. Okay, this is the IP, 30.100. Okay, fallback no action, click create. Okay, so now basically we can test it. So I will go to, let's duplicate this screen. So client one is 189, and this is 151. So let's connect to this one, and let's do so ping to 8888 and ping to 172.16.101, 151. And let's see if we see it over here. I still don't see it. Everything looks good here. Do you see anything? SMP. Weird. Unilog. Viatar, any idea? Protocol any reroute. So we'll move forward. I don't know why. Viadar, can you check it? So I see this one. So now I see it. This one to Google DNS, it's working. For 101, it's also working. Let's check it again. So now it's working. Let's try it again. SSH to 172.16, 101, 151, right? Save SSH. Let's see if I see it over here. Maybe it's just the redirection that's take time. It's only very simply weird. Oh, now you see the SSH. This was blocked. I don't know. Let's ping it again. And I see the SMP. I don't know. Let's move forward. So now, so basically what we saw that we have east-west traffic. And also traffic to the internet. So let's put it the 8888 here. Let's see that we see it here. Okay, this is yeah, this is from now. And we have also, so we saw that we have a traffic to the internet and also between the subnet through the cluster. Let's just verify. Let's connect to this one and see that everything is working, that we don't have some kind of issue over here. Let's do this check. So client one is 189. 89. Let's run curl google.com and let's try to ping. Let's see that we see this one and also ping to SSH 172.16.189. So let's see what we see from this side. 172.16, 101, 151. So we see the SSH, we see the DNS, we see everything, and we see the curl to Google. So everything is working now. So we saw this east-west traffic and also
Shai, just to make the make it align, please. You can see again how the policy is configured.
Sure.
The policy in Nutanix, yeah, in the VPC.
Let me refresh the screen again. So it needs to be no action, right?
It needs to be exactly how it looks now. With
Yes.
any, and no action, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now we are moving forward to the next part. The next part is this use case, transit VPC. So we are going to use the same VPC that we have created already. And we are going to create two VPCs and connect those VPC via the transit VPC. And the supported traffic is east-west traffic between the VPCs, and also north-south traffic. And for that, what we will need to do, we need to create an additional subnet. This is the transit subnet. We can take any subnet that we want. It doesn't need to be 172. By the way, any subnet you can put here. It's not like you need to create a CIDR for the VPC. You can do any subnet. You can use here 192, 172, whatever you want, you can put for the subnet. And I will create this subnet, transit subnet 200. And this transit subnet is going to be used by those VPC. So for external connectivity from those VPC, when I'm going to configure them, default route via the transit subnet. So let's create this transit subnet. Create subnet, I mean the transit VPC, and this is a transit subnet 172.16.200.0/24. Default gateway is always 1. And this is external connectivity for VPC. I have to check it. And I'm removing the NAT over here because we don't want to do NAT when, let me create it first and I will explain it. So we are going to connect those two VPCs. How do we connect it? We create the route via this subnet. Do the same over here. Okay, so I'm going to I created this transit subnet, and I didn't check the NAT. So if I will do a NAT, everything that will go from, for example, from this VPC to this VPC is going to be hide behind an IP from network 200. Okay, so I can assign a specific IP that is going to do the hide NAT. Okay, but I don't want to do any hide, and I don't want to do hide. So the checkpoint, I want him to see the original source IP. This is how I can create a policy based on the original source IP. With the hide NAT, it's not going to work well. So I have this transit subnet, external connectivity. Okay, no NAT. Wonderful. So now let's create the two additional subnets. I will create subnet 2, VPC-A. Now I'm going to take 192.168. So VPC-A, create VPC-A. I'm going to associate the external subnet, the one that I've just created. This is the transit subnet, set as a default next stop for outbound traffic for everything, all internet. And they are going to assign a router IP from this network, whatever Nutanix want, they can assign from this network. And I'm going to set the DNS. And what is important, since we are not using NAT, I need to publish the IP prefix. The IP prefix of 192, this IP prefix, 192.168.0.0, I'm going to publish it to the transit subnet, okay? Because I don't have NAT. So 192, this is important to do. If you add more IP addresses, you will need to add them as well. 24. And you are going to see it on the transit VPC route table later on. So I'm doing this one, and we need to add on the VPC, and we need to add a subnet. So create a subnet. This is a subnet 192.168.0.0. And you can see here the routes. You'll see the subnet in a moment, default route through the transit subnet. Okay. So this is VPC-A. And let's create the second one, which is VPC-B. VPC-B. Same process. So this one. This is going to be 192.168.10/24, which I'm going to publish to the transit subnet. And if I will go now to the transit subnet, you are going to see at least this subnet, you see? The second one is going to pop up in a moment. You see, this is the router IP from this subnet, 172, the transit subnet, which subnet is signed router IP. Okay, so in a few moments, you're going to see the second one. It's going to take a few moments. So basically, we need now to go to the virtual cloud, to the VPC, and you remember that we set a reroute to the cluster VIP, to those IP addresses, those subnet. We need to do the same now for those IP addresses. So let's do that on the transit VPC. Where is the second subnet? I didn't create it. What was the problem? Failed to create a VPC says the IP is not available. IP location failed to request to IP, but only one available. This is weird. Let's see. On transit VPC, on subnet, transit subnet, IP pool. This is the IP pool. It's fine. So let's try to do it again. Create VPC. This is going to be VPC B, external. So this is the overlay subnet. We did a VLAN. This is the transit VPC. Set a default. Now it's going to be fine. One 168 10/24. So now it successfully created it. We have VPC-B, and on the subnet, did they do wrong now? 24. Okay. So now let's check it again. So now we have both of them. So there is a route back from the transit to the VPC. They are connected, and we are good to go. So now we are going to create a network policy. Again, from those two subnets, we want to route everything, reroute to the VIP IP address. So we're going to create an additional policy. Let's give it a different priority, 19, from source custom to 192.168. 33 is enough. It's 1 and 2. Destination, any protocol, any. Reroute, no action. Reverse direction, we also create a policy, and we're going to send it to 30.100, the VIP IP address. Okay, so now what we need to do is go to the VMs, and we're going to connect each one of the client. Client 1, let's disconnect it from the existing subnet, and I will connect it to subnet 00 on VPC A, assign DHCP, and client B, I will connect to the other subnet. Which is subnet 10. So let's see if it's working. So this is 155. 155. Let's take this IP. I will put it here as a source. And I will put 193. Let's see if it's working. So ping to the internet and also ping to 192.168.1. What was it? 193. 193. Let's see if we see it. And we see the Google DNS. And also we see the 193. So we have also this use case with the transit VPC that we see everything going to the active member. I want to show you also using a data center object. And for that, this is to create a policy with categories. So Nutanix doesn't use tags, they use categories. Let's say that on client 2, I will go to categories and I will add a category. I have a DB server, Oracle DB. I can create my own categories, but this is a category that I'm going to add to it, Oracle DB. And I will say on the checkpoint side that I will want access only from DB to those services. The other one, which is not tagged, will drop on this role. So let's check it out. How do we do that? First, I'm going to create a cloud connector. So this is data center, Nutanix, and I will connect to the PC. This is the PC IP. So this is Nutanix, and I'll put the username and password. Now it's going to work. I'm connected. This is the Prisma Cloud. And now I will need to activate the identity awareness on the cluster. So before you do that, you need to have a network object, local host, with IP 127.0.0.1. Okay, so you need to create this local host. And after you do that, it's like working with any other cloud provider. You need to activate the identity awareness blade. You don't need the wizard. Activate the identity awareness blade. From here, you need to choose a custom source, identity web API. And on the settings, you need to, on the client access permission to only interfaces, and add the local host over here, the local host. This is it. You don't need to touch anything else, not the secret, nothing. Just click OK and OK. Let's publish the changes. And now we can go and change the source and import from the data center, from the Nutanix. I can bring all the categories, and we have the Oracle DB. And you see that for the Oracle DB, this IP is attached. And you can there can be many IP addresses that are attached to the same category. Evyatar, you want to elaborate what object do you see over here?
Yeah, sure. So in the Nutanix, in the CloudGuard controller, you can see two kind of object. You can see it on the tree that in the top left window. One of them is the VMs. If you click on it, on the VM, you can see all the VMs that deployed, list of all the VMs that deploy on the Prism Central. Please click on the Word VM. On the Word itself, VMs, yeah. You can see all of the VM and all the associated IPs. The other object you can work with is the categories, as you said, and it's list of all the categories with all of the associated IP for the categories. There is the category itself and the usage, such like the app tire and the Oracle DB.
Yes. So basically,
that's all.
it's going to show for now. It's going to show only category values that are assigned to an object on Nutanix, right?
Correct. For example, you might have another value for
yeah. So if I
such
will
like
go,
Kubernetes,
if I will go here to the
admin central, yeah,
to the admin center on the categories, there are many categories over here. For example, app type.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it's not associated with some VM or IP, you're not going to see it in the.
You're not going to see it over here.
Exactly.
So the only reason that I see the Oracle DB is because I assigned this category or subcategory to client 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So now I'm going to publish those changes. Let's install the policy. And what I should see on the logs first, after I install it and it's deployed the Identity Awareness Blade, we should see a message over here, a log that say that there is a login event. Let's search only Identity Awareness. Where is it? So we see here a login event. So this login event, this is the IP with the Oracle DB, okay? And this IP was assigned to this source, okay? And now it's populated also to the gateway. So every time you attach or remove a tag, a category from an object, it's automatically populated to the management. The management fetch the changes from the Nutanix and automatically populated to the gateway. You don't need to install policy for that. Let's check if it's working. So from one, this IP, I should have a ping to the internet, and from the other one, I should not have a ping to the internet, right? So this is the one which does not have ping to the internet, right? So this one does not have ping to the internet. Let's add a category to it. And let's see how much time does it take. So we'll add a category. So it can take up to 30 seconds and you can change it, right?
Yeah, all of you can change it, the interval between the update of the object, but by default it's 30 seconds.
Let's see if we see.
You can see in the security policy, if you look at the import again, you can see the
yeah. So I see two IP
addresses. You see the two IPs. So now the policy is going to be update.
And how much time does it take till it's enforced?
It's a matter. It depends on the policy side, but a few seconds.
So, yeah.
See.
So now it's working.
Yeah, about a minute.
So this is nice. You don't need to install policy. It's fetched automatically. You just manage all of your policy with categories, with tags. Obviously, you can add many cloud connectors to AWS, private cloud, OpenStack, and so on, and you can just manage all of this with tags. Okay, so let me remove this one and switch to any. Let's push the policy, and let's do one last check. Let's see who is the active member again. So the active member is 1. The active member is 1. Let's ping from this machine, and we will see that is coming. It's not ICMP. Let's see 192.168. What did they do here? 192.168. What? Okay. So I'm running ping from this. This is uh, this is 155, and let's run ping. And in the meanwhile, let's delete. Let's delete VM number 1, gateway 1. Let's delete it. Okay, so ping is now back, and I will start see the logs from gateway 2. Let's see a moment, and we'll see the logs that coming now from gateway number 2. Okay, so this is the failover. So wonderful. So we cover everything. Over here, the tenant VPC and the transit VPC. And the last thing that I want to show you is another configuration. It's a network function. And for that, this is not a cluster. Each one of them is just its own gateway. It's not a cluster. And each one of the gateways is going to have 3 interfaces. One interface is a management interface, and another 2 interfaces that are going to act as a network function interface. And we are going to create a bridge between them. And we are not going to define it when we create a VM. We are not going to define those 2 network interfaces. We are doing it in another way. And I'm going to show you in a moment how we do that. With this, compared to this, here, if we have 2 VMs on the same subnet, we cannot inspect the traffic between them. With the network function, we can inspect the traffic. We can inspect the traffic between 2 VMs in the same subnet. This is a micro-segmentation. By the way, this is just one use case that I'm going to show you, but we can also do network function between 2 subnets, 2 different subnets. Like one is sitting on VLAN 1, another on VLAN 2 on a different subnet. Although it's bridge interface, it's working. Okay, but I'm going to show you now how to inspect traffic between 2 hosts in the same subnet, in the same VLAN. Okay, so to do that, we're going to create, let's remove the cluster, we don't need it anymore. And on the Prism, we also don't need gateway number 2, so we can delete it. And I'm going to create a new gateway, and this is N network function 1, 2, and 12. Just repeat the same process of creating a gateway, but this time I'm going to create it only with one interface, with the management interface. And I will assign a static IP 172.16.10.50. Legacy. Next. And we have the first one, and I'm going to create the second one, function 2. And I'm going to assign it to the management network with 172.16.10.51. So we have function 1 and function 2. And I will go to function 1. And now on the NICs, you see we have a normal NIC, and I'm going to add two interfaces for the network function. So from here, from the NIC menu, more network options, add network function, and you'll see a warning here that you need at least two network function interfaces. So you see the first one, and I'm going to add the second one, add network function. In a moment, you will see the second one. So we are good, and we can power it on. So this is a function 1, and function 2, I will repeat the same process. So we have the machine, and we can power it on. And you remember, in order to access it for we'll use 42 for the first one, floating IP, virtual machine. Did they put it on the right subnet? Weird. Let's do it from here. So this is 42. And function 2. Oops. Floating IP 40, 43. Okay. So let's see if we can connect to it. "42. And this is just regular. Don't use a cluster, just a security gateway. And so again, so I connected the management interface
Shai,
and the
meanwhile the installation, there is a question. What are the some determining factors on why a customer would choose one topology or design over another? Can you elaborate the use case for the topologies?
So for a transit VPC, I think it's kind of obvious, right? So here you have a limitation for one VPC, like everything is inside a VPC, and I think that many customers are using multiple VPC, and they give permission maybe on the VPC where you can spin up the machine. Each VPC can be assigned to different department and so on. So I think this one, it's not cost more money also. So like it's not a public cloud, so I don't know how much resource that does each VPC consume, but I believe that not much. So this one, this topology give you more flexibility. Now, for the network function, this is only if you want to inspect inter-traffic in the same subnet. You will want to inspect traffic, so you will have to work with a network function, which I find more complicated because you're going to see later on how do we create the rules for network function, and I think it's more complicated to manage, but you're going to see it later on. So with them, so after they are going to spin up, we are going to create this bridge interface, connect ETH and ETH2 into a bridge interface on both gateway. And then we will be able to create them on the Smart Console. In the meanwhile, let's create this subnet flow on this VLAN. So let's create the subnet, and I will call it the flow subnet. And this is a VLAN on the same vSwitch, VLAN number 2. IP assignment, the Nutanix, and 192.168.00/24, and 192.168.0.1. Then 200. And this is important. The VLAN should not be basic. If you are going to use basic VLAN, you will not be able to use network function. You will be able to use network function, but it's not going to work. So make sure on the advanced configuration, you uncheck the VLAN basic networking. You see, required for flow network security. Okay, so uncheck it. Do we have the subnet? Yes, we have the subnet, the flow subnet. Let's see what is going on over here. In the meanwhile, let's connect the two clients to the flow subnet. So client 1, let's remove the interface. and attach it to the flow subnet, the HCP. And now we do the same for client 2. Let's remove it from here and assign it to the flow subnet. This one is ready, and this one also. So we need to wait for the reboot and create the bridge interface. So we're almost there. We need another 10 minutes and we're done. Okay. Okay, so on the network interface, we have those two interfaces. This is for the management, and those are for the network function. I'm going to add a new bridge interface with ETH1 and 2, bridge group 1, and what happened here? Let's see in a moment. Bridge. So here I have the bridge interface. And here I have a problem. Okay, I lost the machine. Which one is which? 42, 43. Okay, we start by doing only one. Maybe later on we'll add another one. So how do you do network function from, we need to create it first, right? So let's create just one gateway. So this is a function 1, 50. We have trust here. And on the network management, with the external interface, which is the management, I will just remove the spoofing. And ETH1 also remove the spoofing. So this one is good. I don't know, maybe it's dead. Looks like it's dead. Anyway,
Shai, the VM is now up and running. You can try to run it again.
okay. Okay, network interface, the bridge. Okay, so now I have the bridge interface. Wonderful, and this is the IP. Let's add the second one. This is F2, 51. Okay, so it's installing the policy right now. And now from the, how do you create a network function? You do it from security policy, not from the virtual, not from the VPC, from the security policy. So first, I'm going to add the two gateways, network function, create network function. And this is a CP end function, and we'll assign the two VMs. You see only VMs with network function, so we have those two VMs. And I need to select the inbound and the outbound NIC. It doesn't really matter. We just select the first one is the inbound, and the second one on each one of the gateways is the outbound. Click next. Run check run every 2 seconds. Unhealthy after 2 tries. Else after 2 tries. So he's going to see them in a moment as a healthy gateways. Now 2 of them are standby. One is going to be active, the other one is standby. Nutanix will take care if he will see that the active one is down. He will move all the traffic to the other one. So now we see that 2 of them are healthy, and you see that the end network function 1 is the active one, and this is the standby. So we have the network function. Let's create an addresses, and this is a network 0, and 192.168.00/24. And you remember that I put on a client 2, I put a category of Oracle DB. So this client will try to access the Oracle DB, okay? And I wanted all the traffic from this network, this network, 192.168.1 it should be 0, sorry. 0. From 0 to the Oracle DB will go to the network function, okay? And I have many subnet. I can have many subnet and decide what will go to the network function. So I will go to the list and I will create a new security policy, which called the CP function. And the scope should be VLANs only. At the inbound, I will add the source, and you can select here categories, others group. You have many options to select over here. And I will select others group and the one that I've created, network 0. And the outbound is going to be the same, network 0. And the secure entity is what is VM with tag DB, right? With app type Oracle DB. But again, you have many options. And click OK. And here we're going to create this connection, okay, from the secure entity to the outbound. And also here, we're going to create this connection, but this time we're going to do redirect through the network function. Okay, so traffic from this network to secure entity, you're going to redirect through the network function, and it's going to send it out to this other scope. So let's click next and enforce, and let's see if it's working. So the request has been sent, and let's see, client 2 is 044 or 044. So let's see if it's going to let's see if we see this connection. We don't see it. And you accept. $60. Oh, it's a 44. This is what they did, 44. Yeah. So those are the health checks, but I don't see the SSH. Installed successfully. Weird. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the issue. This category should be assigned only to the protected client, right? So now we see this SSH. Let's see it again. So now we see the ICMP and the SSH from 160 to 044. So this is a micro segmentation at working with network function. And again, we can have many subnet and you redirect them like I show you. And also between subnet, it's also going to work. So you can use whatever option you like. Do we have any questions here, Evyatar? Something that we need to answer?
No, we answer all of the question in the chat.
I see. Okay, so guys, thank you very much. I'm going to upload this recording by tomorrow to Checkmate. So if you want to watch it again, you will be able to do so. Evyatar, thank you very much for joining us. If you have any other questions that you will think of, you can just post the question on the post where I'm going to put the recording. So don't hesitate, and we will answer the questions. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank